the internet! It is Saturday the 21st of October 2023 and welcome back to the channel. I have to drill a hole in GoVan. In the roof of GoVan. Not a job anybody would be thinking would excite them, right? Drilling a hole in the roof of your vehicle? What? I gotta feed cables through the roof. I gotta feed a bunch of cables through. And last time with Stevan, when we did the similar kind of job, I neglected to drill any holes and instead I ran cabling through the door lining, and every time you open and close the door, the cable got squashed a little bit, and that's not good, right? Even though it's plastic against the cable, technically it's not going to harm it so much, but a better job would be to run cables through the roof into the cabin of GoVan. By the way, hello chat. I see Pertsky and I see Dalesky. How you doing, man? Don't fuck it up. You got proper sealant? Well, I want to talk about the task. I want to talk about what I've researched to make this work better. And then I want to talk about whether I should even do this job now or wait for Starlink mobility. But before we get into that, I want to show you the things that I've bought for GoVan and the, what are we calling this mission? Marty and the Gives a Minute and Marty mission to the center of Australia to find loose Luke Campbell, camel hunting, Ayers Rock, Uluru mission. We haven't got a name for it yet, but this big trip that we're planning in August next year. By the way, just a little heads up on that. Nothing's changed except that the dates have changed. The progress towards obtaining or making this mission happen, we're now a little closer. Last week I was busy shooting a festival. I didn't really get a chance to talk about... See, I want to make most of these streams leading up to this trip. I want to make most of the streams about the trip. But last week there was something else that popped up. So we had Jetty come on and we talked about his new documentary that comes out next week. If you're in Adelaide, 27th of October, opening at the film festival, Adelaide Film Festival. Anyway, that was last week. That's why we couldn't really talk about this trip. But I did receive some things in the mail. I want to show you what I've got now or additional for this trip. This is very important, actually. So I've got 3 packages that have arrived. I guess I'll show you the big one first. The biggest the biggest package, the biggest tackle and package is this guy, a double horizontal jerry can holder. Now, we talked about this a little while ago, Dale. Remember we were talking about should we put extra fuel on the roof or on the tailgate of GoVan? Now, in an ideal world, the tailgate would be the optimum place. To do that, you have to fit a swing bar that swings out off the side, off the back of the tailgate. You can't just mount them onto the tailgate because then when you open the tailgate, those little, those struts, they don't handle it. They're not going to hold the weight of 2 20-kilo fuel tanks. So you have to get an extra fitting. Now, I looked into that fitting and they're like $3,000. If I'm spending $3,000, it's not going to be on a fucking swing out bar. It's going to be on Starlink mobility, right? If I'm going to spend that amount of money. But this gets it onto the roof of GoVan and it keeps it horizontal. So you could get the one that was vertical or the horizontal one. I found the horizontal one to be more suitable because, and this is quite a good illustration on here. This is kind of like similar to my setup in the sense that I've got this roof. This roof rack setup that they've got is similar to mine in the sense that there is a section of it that's going to be dedicated to a luggage compartment, and there's going to be a section of it that's dedicated to other things, such as the jerry can holder. So it's very, very similar setup. Mine's a little different in the sense that I've got a solar panel on the front, and I've got something I'm going to show you in a second, which is similar, very similar to this. But so that's why I did that. That's that. So the next thing I'll show you is the other thing which they've got on their package as well. This is a roof rack luggage holder bag, luggage thing. You put luggage in it. Now, why have I got this? Well, in GoVan, there isn't a great deal of storage internal aside from the 4 pull-out drawers, which are all only about that big in depth. So You can put things in there, cooking utilities, utensils and clothes and shit, but essentially big bulky items are going to need to go on the roof. Now you want that shit to be covered, right? You don't want to just like cinch, strap or rope it down. You want it actually to be secured and watertight. So this luggage bag basically connects to the roof rack, and it's an additional area which you can put things, and then you strap it all, you tie them together, or you click them together with these. I don't know how well you can see that, but there's clicks, right? There's little. So this is going to be super handy. It's also very important for me in the sense that my maximum height of GoVan is already obtained. I can't go any higher on the roof while I'm parked up. It fits into the garage, which is important living by the ocean. I want to keep this thing away from the salt spray if I can. There's an argument to be had whether you garage it or not. There's still salt in the air. Yes, but it's not as gnarly as the whole nor'easterly, which is blowing its head off right now. No surfing today. That nor'easterly blowing straight onto Stevan is what messed up Stevan quite quickly. So this is garaged. Once we get it out onto the road to go on a mission, it's easy enough just to put this onto the roof outside, add the double jerry can holder, and off we go. We can add our luggage and bam. But there is one other thing that I needed to get in addition that also goes on the roof. This guy, the gas bottle holder, because gas bottles are bulky and they're not going to fit in, well, it's not going to fit inside of GoVan. So this gas bottle holder goes onto the roof racks, straps it down, bam, you've got a gas bottle on the roof, you've got your luggage bag, you've got your jerry cans, and everything's up there ready to handle whenever you need it. So I needed these three things. Are you certain the roof can structurally handle the weight? Yeah, fully. Dude, 6 Rhino Rack legs, T210s they're called. That's just the brand or the model number, 210 by 6 roof rack. And by the way, that roof, I researched that roof rack. That roof rack was $2,500. That might be why GoVan was so expensive, because I think I paid too much for GoVan. They wanted 21 grand for it. I got them down to 19. I still think that's overselling it, but it was post-COVID, blah, blah, blah. So all of that aside, there's going to be a couple of things on the roof of GoVan that are going to need cable runs. The first one I've got already, I've been using it with Stevan. It's my 4G MIMO antenna system. Actually, I beg your pardon, I haven't been using that one. I used to use it here on these live streams on my roof, but now that I've got fiber, I've taken that off the roof. I'm going to put it onto GoVan. So that does have a cable run, 2 quite thick coax cables. That's going to need to go from the roof into the interior of GoVan. At the same time, there will need to be, what I'm assuming, 2 cables from Starlink mobility, right? If we're going to do this, which I'm dead set going to do it, we're going to need a cable run, probably an Ethernet cable and a power cable from the Dishy McDish into the internal of GoVan. That leads me to the point. Would I be better off doing this job now or waiting until I actually receive the Starlink mobility? And that's going to be quite a while down the track. Now, I'm leaning towards no, get this job done now so that at least I can use the GoVan with just the 4G and we can do some streams like we used to. And then when the mobility arrives, we just patch it in. Now, to do that, it would be quite easy just to leave or to research what the cables will be. I'm assuming one of them is Ethernet 5A, Cat 5, right? I'm assuming the other one is like a 12-volt power cable. So it would be easy enough to research on the Starlink website to see what those cables are and run cables through so that then when we do get the hardware, we can just plug it in and off we go. So that led me down the trail of, well, how the hell do you get cables from the outside of an RV inside an RV? And I did a lot of researching. There's a whole bunch of ways to do it. Dale's got a comment. Might be better to run cables through the side instead of the roof. Less leak issues. Just a thought. Okay. I hadn't thought of that. Thank you for making me think of that. I'm still thinking of it. I'm thinking of that. I'm not too sure. Will that be better or worse? Fuck you for making me think of that. I never thought of that. Why don't I do it underneath the van? There'll be no... Why have you got to be the voice of reason, Dale? Why can't you just shut the fuck up? I already had a decision to do on the roof, but maybe the side's a good idea. I mean, okay, good point. And yes, maybe the side of the vehicle could be better than the roof. For sure. What I've got could go either of those. So let me tell you what I did. I researched how people are doing this in RVs. A lot of people are using basic electrical conduit multiple port boxes, right? These plastic boxes, which are pretty much any size, and they're gluing them to a hole that they've drilled through the roof. They're silicone sealing them, gluing them to this thing. Then they've got these little gaskets that come in with conduit, and you can just patch your cables through. And that's how you see it on the sides of buildings and air conditioning units and all that kind of hoo-ha. Possibly a good way to do it. Yes, but there was another dude who was like, dude, I've got the ultimate thing for this. And it turns out it's an no, they don't call them RVs. It's a marine. What's the equivalent of an RV but on water? Like a yacht, like a high class yacht that has cables that need to, same situation, right? They got cables from the outside of the yacht that need to come inside. And by the way, out on the open water, there's more chance of any water ingress than there is on land, just from rain, because they got splash and everything. So there is a company called Scanstrut that manufacture this thing, the Scanstrut cable seal. Stephanie Thompson, hello, Gibbs. Hello, Stephanie. How the hell are you doing? Good to see you. This is the cable seal from Scanstrut. This is the packaging that it came with. Now, marine grade, bam, thank you, Stephanie. That's the word I was struggling to get to, marine grade. Let's bring the chat on, folks. There we go. Hey, thank you, Stephanie. So this thing here is a cable management input system. That's not what it's called, but that's what it does. It brings in your cable from the outside to the inside. It's a bit of a convoluted mess how it all works, but I've got a video here that I've found using a Scanstrut DS Multi to route cables through the roof of a camper. Now that is exactly what I need. So let's freaking take a little learnskis and see how this is done. So this is the video. It's actually from Scanstrut Limited. So this is their channel. Hopefully they don't ding me.
So for installation of the
Hey, it's pretty low in the volume, Gutses.
Scanstrut DS Multi cable
wow.
through.
I beg your pardon how low this audio is. It's not my fault, but I can crank it up here at my end. Remind me to turn it back down later, but I'm turning it up full. Okay, let's go back to the start. Here we go.
So for installation of the Scanstrut DS Multi cable pass-through, you are going to cut the holes for the wires, cut the holes for the hardware to hold the multi down.
Now, at that point, he's cutting holes in an RV roof, which is frightening as shit, but it's got to be done. Why is he cutting it that big? Is he going to mount two of these? That looks a bit bigger than, because you can see the size of this, right? It's the size of it's the palm of your hand. So basically you can fit, in this thing, you could probably fit both of my MIMO antenna cables, the coax cables, both of those on one side, and then I could fit a power cable and an Ethernet cable on the other side. So it will fit, but boy, he looks like he's going to town on that. What's he doing?
To the van. And then you're going to do your minimum 2 layers of rust-proof paint, sand in between coats, and let it dry for 6 hours per coat. And then
right. And by the way, if I'm going to do this, I've obviously got to go and get all that rust-proof paint stuff too first.
And first step is to put down the foam gasket that includes. Second step is to
so he is mounting two at the same time. I've only got one.
Install the aluminum gasket.
So it's got an aluminium gasket. Mine's connected. I guess it needs unscrewing. I didn't unscrew mine, but it is obviously I've got the exact same thing as him. But
gasket over the foam one, And they include stainless hardware, 4 screws to hold this down. That tightens the aluminum down onto the foam. And then your final step is to drill your holes in the rubber for your wires. You can put a whole bunch of wires in these things, multiple sizes, and then the final installation will end up looking like this. Okay, so we've mounted the 2 Scanstrut DS multis onto the roof, and we've started drilling holes for the wires to get passed down through. You just drill a hole to be one size larger than the gauge of the wire that's going down through. So we have 2 here that we've already done.
It's interesting. This point, it's interesting that you drill a hole, but then I guess when you tighten it up, it cinches it together because it's rubber, right?
And then you can see once the holes are drilled, you're just going to push your wires down through, and that will seal it and make it.
Well, that won't seal anything until you screw it together, right? Pushing wires through a rubber hole isn't sealed. The sealing comes when you screw that shit down, is what I'm imagining.
So we are wrapping up our cable pass-through project.
Hey, Dougski! Hey, Gives and Givers, just popped in to say hello as I'm at work. I can't stay long. Thanks, man. Thanks for swinging in, Dougski. Thank you, man. Hope you're doing well.
Project on this camper van. This one we ended up putting about 10 wires through, and this one has 6 going down through, and these are all different gauge wires. And then we left some open space in the front DS Multi for some future accessories if we need to put more down through. And we just put some loom around all these cables and tried to make them clean, and everything came out perfect. All of the Scanstrut cable seals are available on nomadicsupply.com. Just go to electrical and then to cable seals, and you'll find all the different versions that they have.
Avery's video channel. Hello, Avery. So that's how it's done. Of course, that does leave you a few questions. Well, it leaves me a few questions. First question I've got is, why didn't he show it screwing down? Right? Like, he showed how it affixes to the roof of the vehicle, but he doesn't show that to actually have it work, you've got to screw that shit together, right? I'm just assuming that that's how it needs to be done. The other thing that it doesn't show, and this is going to be different for everybody, is the inside of the vehicle. So you've got to remove the lining from inside for where that cable run's going to pop out on the internals. Now, as it stands right now with GoVan, all that shit's tucked in and tidy. So if I start pulling this thing apart, I need to do it once and once only, because it's going to be a big job. I'm probably going to have to pull out the bedding inside GoVan to get the interior wall lining off. I haven't really looked into that yet, but that's definitely going to have to be a task that's going to have to be done, right? I got to pull that lining off and then make sure I know where the cable comes through and then put all that lining back up. So I only want to do it once. I did have a little look on a few Delica forums as to how to exactly do that, because I haven't done that yet. So I got a few little linky poos here. How to remove lining of a L400, which is essentially the vehicle I've got. So, yo, David, how you doing, man? How you doing, David? Hey, how's it going, buddy? So this post says, to fix corrosion above my sunroof, I want to remove the headliner to be able to do it properly. Also, if I'm not mistaken, some corrosion, da-da-ding-dong-ding. Would anyone have any guide on how to take off the headliner completely? And when he says headliner here, I'm assuming he means the interior lining. He says, I understand that pretty much the entire interior has to come out, but what does that mean? And I understand that there are some retaining braces of sort in the back. Okay, so this person answered with, I'm ready to do this on a PE8W. I'm planning on following the workshop manual method, which involves taking out most of the trim from the bottom to the top. So from the bottom, that means from underneath my bedding, which means the bedding's gonna have to be coming out. I'm doing good this morning. Thank you, Gibbs. Thank you, David. So this person says, there's a post somewhere, can't add pics to the board. So this person replied, an update from my end. I ended up stripping the whole interior, getting the corrosion repaired. The whole thing is not too complicated. You must remove the window pillar trim first. So does that mean the back windows or the front windows? Either way, I'll take a look at the pillar trim. That supports everything. You must also loosen the entire side trim. Now this is, of course, if you're taking the whole thing out. All I'm doing is loosening it to get to where the cable run comes through. I want to drill my hole through the roof and see it and then pull the cable through. He's talking about replacing speakers. He said, here are a few things. There are many annoying metal clips. That means your audio is too loud if it's clipping. Take care removing them all. Otherwise, they will break your plastic trim as they are really strong. Okay. The same glue that you use to attach PVC plumbing when you do a kitchen or bathroom sink, the yellow shit that smells really bad until you realize it smells great. It can be used to repair the broken plastic clips. It holds very well. The clips between the front and rear segments of the headliner right behind the sunroof. The 3 clips that look like they hold together too are fake. Do not remove because you can't and they'll just break. The front and rear segments. Interesting to note, the clips between the front and rear segments of the trim behind the sunroof. So I don't have a sunroof in mind, but I know where he means. Those clips are fake. They'll just break. The A-pillar trim is a nightmare to remove because the clips constantly break. Okay. You have to kind of twist it in place. The clips do not like that. Get spares. That said, if you don't need to run GPS wiring or a rear view camera, then do not completely remove the trim. Just loosen it. This is what I mean. Just loosen the trim. Okay. Now, here's a big point. If you have curtains installed, undo the rails as they also support the headliner. Only do the top ones. The ones near the 3rd row are decorative and do not. So I do have curtains, but I installed them. So I'm going to undo those as well. So what I'm getting at, and Dale, this sounds like a huge pain in the ass, many ways to fuck it up. Yes, there is definitely many ways to fuck this up, but it is a job that's going to need to be done. So I am confident in my, I'm going to word this very accurately. I'm confident in my I'm confident that I want to do the job, but I'm not 100% confident that I can do the job. But I'm enthusiastic that I want to do it. So I'm going to do it is the point I'm making. I'm not going to let this potentially gnarly task or the potential of messing this task up, I'm not going to let that stop me from doing it because I want it done. It has to be done. Wow, Stephanie with a super chat. How come that didn't come up? Stephanie, a little something for all your adventures. Thank you so much, Stephanie. $20 there. Appreciate you. That's very, very kind of you. I'm assuming we've got alerts turned on. I don't know why that didn't come up. It might come up. It still could come up. Streamlabs, are you going to come up? Stephanie, how long ago did you do that? Either way, thank you for it. I'll say what it should have said. Steak? Money's too tight for steak. Stephanie Thompson said, a little something for all your adventures! Exclamation. I'm going to heart that.
Money's too tight for steak.
Steak?
A little something for all of your adventures.
Damn, that took a long time to kick through. Streamlabs, that takes forever. Thank you so much, Stephanie. That's very kind of you. Thank you. Lots of good info on the Deleca site. Yeah, Dale, I've been using that as a reference. But throwing back to the original conundrum I've got of this task, interior lining's got to come off. Then I've got to know what cable runs I need. So I need to be very confident that this device is going to take what it needs, right? I've got to be, if I'm going to do this, and I've only got one, I'm not going to buy another one. I'm only going to use one. I need to be confident that it's ready for Starlink mobility. So I did go to the Starlink website, and this is intriguing. By the way, sorry, before we get to that, I did have another quick video of a guy removing the front door trim of a Deleca. So let's just see how this guy approaches this. It's only a short video. So he's just showing us, he's just taken out, so I've done this, by the way. Do you have a Haynes manual for your Deleca? I do not. Hello, Hendrik. How the hell are you doing, man? I do not have a Haynes manual, but I have the internet. Oh, no, I do. I did download the PDF. I do have the PDF of the manual. So this guy's getting the trim off the door, and I just wanted to see if there's anything that's missing from here. Aside from him talking. I'll talk for him. Okay, that's got a wire underneath it. Be careful. You got to unconnect that little cable on there. That's your electrics for the window downers. I had to take mine off to check it. It was getting stuck on the rollers. Hey, can I get a few likes on this stream, folks? I don't see any likes yet. No thumbs upses. No thumbs upses. Up my thumbses. If you think the thumbs up needs to be upped, up them. I see none likeses. Stephanie, my phone keeps lagging and I got to get back to my college homework. Thank you so much, Stephanie. Get back to your homework and I appreciate the 20. Thank you so much. 5 likes. Thank you, Dale. I don't see it yet. Must be lagging at my end. So that's the interior of the door, and that's the end of that video. But what I wanted to show you there was that it's not difficult to handle those tasks. And I've actually done that task before. I've taken that door lining off to fix mine. Okay, jumping forward to Starlink Mobility. I went onto the website this morning, and they've changed their pricing again. And I got to tell you, this time, I think it's gone down. Let's have a look. Here we are on the Starlink Mobility website. Land Mobility, fixed site, land mobility, maritime aviation, direct to sell. That's a new one. That's coming to Optus as well. But let's go to land mobility. Reliable, high-speed internet while in motion, starting at $374 a month. View our buyer's guide. Schedule a sales consultant. Schedule a sales consultant. Damn, that's hard to say. So there's this little chart here that hasn't been here before. Now, in motion connectivity around the globe. Download 4 to 220 megabytes a second. Upload 8 to 25. Latency less than 99 millisecond. So what are these three prices? 374 versus 1,480 or 7,000. View all planses. So these are the planses: standard, priority, mobile, and mobile priority. So a standard install, best for households. Hell no, we don't want that. Priority, best for businesses and high demand users. Mobile, best for RVs, nomads, and campers. Mobile, so this is where it's changed. Mobile regional is now only 174 a month. Mobile global is 300 a month. It used to be 374 flat. So arguably it's come down $200 per month, which is putting that price there, 174 a month. That's putting it relatively close to some regular internet service providers for your home. Of course, you still need to buy the hardware, but look at the hardware price. Ah, that's the recommended hardware standard, $599. Whereas, okay, so the hardware, okay. Mobile, interesting. Interesting. I'm just concerned why they're recommending the old Dishy McDish at that point, because we know that the dish you need is the flat high performance dish, which is almost $4,000 Australian. So that hasn't come down in price, but the actual service has come down. Here is the old price for mobile. Wait a second. On location, one location on the go. One location. Is this because I've zoomed in? Does that mean these two over here are on the go? Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Interesting. It's a little more confusing the way they've laid this out, because these two on this side are moving. As you can see, it says on the go up the top here. And on this side, it says one location. Mobile regional. That's the roam. Work and play at remote locations. That's not what I want though. Mobile global. International. Mobile priority. Why would you use that one still? I'm a little confused the way they've laid this out now. Starlink in motion is the one that we're going to need. Excuse me. Obviously, let's take a look what order now. Mobile, excuse me. Mobile priority. I guess what I need to die here for a second. What I need to do, regardless of the pricing. Okay, so the pricing has changed, but regardless of that, we need to look at the specs of what it actually. Standard, high performance, flat high performance. This is the dish we need, obviously. So I want to see what the cable runs are. This is designed for mobility applications and challenging environments. With a wide field of view and enhanced GPS capabilities, it can connect to more satellites, allowing for consistent connectivity while on the go. The hardware is designed for a permanent install and is more resilient to extreme environments. Currently, the only designated dish for in-motion use in approved countries, which is Australia. What's in the box? The Starlink kit arrives with everything you need to get online in minutes. The dish, the power supply mount, the router, and the router mount. Starlink cable, Ethernet cable, router cable, AC power cable. Why are there versions of this? AC cable router. Okay, so we need to see where this goes. So that's the dish, power, and Starlink. Or is it? That's not the dish, is it? Okay, let's take a look at the setup guide. This will give us the G's, knees, E's, T's, and Le's. Starlink wedge mount kit. Installing conditions. Kit installed for use. Take extra care if installing on a moving vehicle or a vessel. Okay. Starlink may cause safety. Lightning protection. Spaniel, Deutsch. Let's just change language. Netherlands. Can't we just go straight to the English? Oh, is it going to go every page? What the hell? Really? Okay. Are these clickable? No, they're not. Okay. Option for mounting the hardware, machine screws and nuts. So what we need to look at is what's going on here. From the dish, there looks like there's one cable coming out, but I know there's two cables, right? Now we go to every other language, really? Wow, this is tedious. Box contents. Why is this not in English now? Wedge mount. Cable pass-through kit. It's got its own pass-through kit? Shit. I don't want to use that. Additional items you need. Option 1, machine screw and nuts. Okay, so there's two different options of getting this thing onto the actual roof, but I've got a roof rack it'll attach to nicely. It's not what I'm concerned with right now. I'm concerned with the cable run. Routing your cable. If you want to route your cable through an exterior surface using the provided cable pass-through kit, follow the below steps. Otherwise, route your cable to the interior and skip to the following section. The included Starlink cable is 8 meters. Different cable lengths can be found. Is there only one cable from the roof down? That'd be sick. By the way, I've got to just go and cough my guts up. Just give me a second. Okay. That's a bit better. I had to just cough a whole lot of phlegm out of my gob. Hendrik, yeah, it looks like one cable from the router to the dish. The router then powers the dish. Yeah, well, I mean, that's what I'm seeing here too. That looks pretty sick if that's the case. The Starlink cable is 8 meters. Different cable lengths can be found on the Starlink shop at Starlink. That's tits if that's the case. And it looks like that is the case. Just one cable. Route your cable. So that's obviously going to go through my scan strut. So I'm not going to need to do any of this stuff. The cable will run straight from the bottom of it into the van. And I guess, yeah, there you go. Plug the Starlink cable into the port at the bottom of the Starlink. Do not make a sharp turn with your cable. That's pretty sharp though. Look at that sharp turn. Okay, well, if that's all it is, then dang, dude. All I've got to do, let's just scroll all the way through this PDF just to make certain we get to the next section, just to make certain there's nothing else that needs to be added. Pretty strange that this manual, it's not just one section in English and then one section in Spanish and one section in German. It's all the sections in line in all the languages. Bit of a shame, but either way, we can tell by the images that we're on the same section in a different language because we've seen those images. I guess they're drilling it into your head though, aren't they? You can't not see how it's done now. We've seen the images how many times? Looks like this could be the whole PDF is just this section. That'd be interesting. What about the internal part? Yeah, it looks like this whole section. Damn, dude, it's this whole PDF? How many languages was there? Shit. Okay, so that's the end of that PDF. Well, okay, that's interesting. One cable from the top, from the dish into the scan strut is going to be way easier to deal with, right? I thought I'd need to run power up there and it's just one cable. That's sick. So with that in mind, I guess we should look at the shop and see what that cable is, because it did mention shop. Starlink power supply router cable, Ethernet cable, Starlink cable. So this is the one. This is the cable here, 8 meter Starlink cable. Let's go to the shop. Service plans, technology updates, customer stories. Okay, I thought the link was starlink.com/shop. Page not found. Awesome. Rome boats. I thought it said, can't find, I'm not going to be able to find, just do a search for shop. Shop.starlink.com. You can't go to the shop without having an account. Get out of here. Okay, well, either way, we know Starlink cable. Let's do a search for that. Starlink undefined? Why does it go to that? Okay, I just wanted to see what this cable, I mean, assuming, I guess the concern I've got here is if I mount this to the roof of GoVan and it's all in place, then the Starlink mobility package arrives in 8 months or whatever it is, and we go to hook it up. Can I feed that cable through here without having to remove all this? Because judging by the look of the endpoint, it's not going to be a case of cutting it and then recrimping it, right? You're going to have to force that through in one go. You see what I'm saying? Like that's the endpoint or whatever. Where is it? Whatever's on the end of that cable. Dang it, dude. I zoomed in too far and it disappeared. Whatever's on the end of the cable is going to have to feed. Yeah, whatever's on the end of this cable has to be forced through this little doozy without me having to take this thing off. I mean, probably have to unscrew it to loosen the plastic. And then internal to GoVan, I've got to be able to access that and pull that through the lining. So should I run a dummy cable, like a dummy wiring through and just leave it there so that I can just attach it and then pull it through? I think that's what I should do. Chadsky, whoa, Gibbs is online while I'm around at Spin and H. How you doing, man? How you doing, Chad? Yeah, so that's where I'm at anyway. I think what I should do today is get in GoVan, work on pulling the interior lining off and seeing what I've got, right? Like seeing what's in there and where this is going to go. Let's just touch on what Dale said at the very beginning of this stream. Is it worth mounting this scan strut onto the roof or onto the side of the vehicle? Okay, here's why I think the roof is the better option. It's underneath the roof rack. Therefore, it's a little more protected, right? I could do it near, depending on what the interior looks like and where the struts and stuff are, and in the steel, I could mount it to near a leg of the roof rack, so therefore it's got protection from the side. Whereas if it's on the side of the vehicle, it's always going to be getting hit with the weather. And if it's on the top of the vehicle, nowhere near a roof rack leg or not even protected by a roof rack, on top of the roof rack, for instance, which it would never be, but let's just say it's also not protected. So under the roof rack next to a leg is, and probably nearest to the front where the roof rack's as low to the, well, maybe it needs to be at the back where there's more clearance. I mean, what I've got to do, I've got to be in GoVan and I've got to have the interior off, and that's going to tell me where it's going to go. Because as soon as I can see the inside of GoVan, where these, like, where the support struts are and where the least amount of cutting is going to be involved, right? I've got to cut into it with a jigsaw, cut a little sort of circle about yay big. Persky's in the house. Yo, hey Persky, how you doing, man? Hendrik, roof is better, less wires exposed to you, and true, yeah, of course, less wires exposed to the UV, yeah, for sure. So I feel like the roof is better. The other thing that I've got to consider, and this is probably a big factor, is the cable run from the Mimo. Let me just get it from this guy. This is my Mimo antenna that used to bring me the 4G for these very streams. I've painted it black, so it's a little bit less intrusive. This is going to go onto. I already know where this is going to mount. It's going to mount, and we did a stream where we talked about this, and unfortunately, there's nowhere else where this can go. So this is going to be mounted underneath the roof racks like this. And these cables, these MIMO antenna cables, they're quite big, right? They're going to take up the bulk of this space. But those cables are long. I think it's an 8-meter cable run. So I feel like this thing should be at the back of the vehicle, and this cable should run along the roof rack, cable tied in, of course, all the way to the back, into the vehicle, and then any excess cable run, instead of crimping it, because I don't know how to re-crimp these endpoints on either side, I'll just feed that cable in a loop and put it back in the sidewall, and then just take out what I need. Whereas in the ideal way to do it would be to crimp it and reconnect the end pieces and do it shorter, but I'm not going to be doing that. Also, from looking at the Starlink site, the cable, now this is the fixed position cable, it's 50 feet long, but the other one is only 8 meters. So there's also going to be a point where that Starlink cable is going to be an excess run that's going to need to be sort of coiled up somewhere, or basically I'm going to feed it along the wall of GoVan, tuck it down nicely, cable tied in so it doesn't wobble in the momentum and whatnot. Your thingy waterproofs the whole thing anyway. Yeah, that's true, Henrik. Yeah, of course. This is totally water sealed. But I'm just saying, like, I just want to be. I mean, because when Dale said, "Why don't you mount it to the side of the vehicle?" I thought, yeah, why don't I? You know, why can't I do that? Having thought about it longer, I think the roof is the better option. So that's what I need to do today. I'm gonna get into it. I'm gonna get into GoVan, and I'm gonna try to see what I can do with the lining and see how that goes. And yeah, and as we move in, as we progress further, I have. So this is now talking about the pitch. So getting this to a business, I still really want to focus my first pitch, and the main pitch. In an ideal world, the only pitch would be to the H3 podcast. That's the guys that I really want to come on board with this, because I think the content would be rad for them. Content will be rad for me. So to that effect, I've gone through, and I was going to ask you guys, but I decided to just go ahead and do it. I've gone through and I've taken, this is a big task too. I've taken every single IRL stream that I've done, more or less. So there's been some ones that have been a bit shitty, but I've taken every single IRL stream and I've put them into, I don't have it handy. I've put them onto a hard drive, a separate hard drive, because each one is like 10, 12, 15. Some of them are 30 gig because we stream for 10, 15. Some of them we stream for 11 hours is the long, no, 12 hours was the longest one in New Zealand. That was a 30 gig file. Anyway, I've put all those onto a hard drive, and I'm going to use snippets of each of those into my pitch video. The whole pitch has to be like around about less than 2 minutes. So it's snippets of the best IRL streams, and that'll and I've got ideas of how I want to. What I'm saying is, since we last spoke, I've collated the streams. Haven't set them up in a timeline yet, but I've collated it and the edit process. And I'll start. What I'm going to do, I'm going to do a dummy one. Then I'm going to show it to you guys, and I'm going to say, is this a good enough pitch, or should I change it? And the content will be a little sketchy because I'll just point it at myself and do the spiel. And then I'll say, if you guys agree that this is the right wording in the pitch, I'll go out and reshoot that outside in a better location with a better camera. But the idea is doing like a dummy pitch, if you like. Van Frick, how you doing, man? Is this the Down Under OG, the internet? That's what I think you were referring to. This guy. This thing here is how I've brought in every single stream that you guys have seen from this location. Whenever I've been here, this was the device that gave me. When everybody said, "How do you get such good internet on 4G?" This was how I was doing it. This guy here, this guy, a MIMO antenna, multi-in, multi-out. This was sitting on my roof of my house, pointing at a 4G tower. Or not pointing at, but within line of sight of a 4G tower. This was the device. It wasn't black. I painted it, but I'm going to get out of here now. Thanks for being here. Appreciate the likes. I still can't see it. I'll refresh my trouser. Let me just trouser my refresh. My trouser's been refreshed, and I see 8 likes and 2 watching. That's a good algorithmic algorithm. 8 likes and 2. Thank you so much for that, folks. Appreciate you. Have yourselves a wonderful day. I will report back. Like I said, each one of these streams from here on in, up until we get onto this trip, is going to be hopefully about the trip. That being said, I probably will stream tonight as well on Kick. Just a little, we got tabs up the wazoo. We can hang out with a few drinks. I'm not working today or tomorrow, so pretty keen to just chill out with you yahoos and have a good time. We'll do that later on Kick. Like, share, and subscribe. Thank you, Van Freak. Perdsky, cheers, man. Hendrik, thank you, man. Have a good one. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you all. And go out there and conquer. Is that how I'm going to end this stream? I guess so. Conquer. Get it. Get him out of here. Go on.